Good afternoon. Welcome to this week's episode of Content Classroom. This week, I've got a question for you. How many times have you created content, written posts, and not been entirely convinced that you've got the engagement and distribution of that right? What do I mean by that? I mean, I come across lots of business owners who know that LinkedIn is very definitely their primary channel and have no idea beyond that where to go to meet their client. They don't know which channel is best for what types of content. How many times have you created content, written posts, and not been entirely convinced that you've got the engagement and distribution of that right? What do I mean by that? They don't know how to tailor the content for each channel, or even whether there's any opportunity to meet their clients there. This episode is dedicated to helping you come to a clearer understanding of how to approach scaling up your content distribution to create what I call a bee swarm effect, or other people have referred to it as the puffer fish, where people who are consuming your content assume that you are a much bigger business than what you actually are. This is a great advantage for small to medium business owners to capitalize on. Let me be clear. I've tried and tested this myself with my own business. And you can go one of two routes. When you first start creating a large amount of content, you can either go and throw enough mud on the wall that it sticks, or you can start off with one or two channels and gradually expand outwards. I would advise pretty much everybody who's watching this, unless you are in the business of content creation or social media management, to go the second route. I tried the first route and it consumed a huge chunk of my time and got me very little results as an outcome of that. I've recently scaled back my efforts in other channels to just focus pretty much solely on LinkedIn and YouTube, with a little bit of TikTok and Instagram thrown in there as my trial next channel strategy. So for those of you who are already posting on LinkedIn, well done. That's a great starting point. And I would encourage, if you're not even at that point yet, I hear a lot of people say, well, just start with once per week. I'd say that's crap. It's not enough to form a habit. So start with 2 to 3 times a week minimum, right? And work your way up to 5 times a week. It's not to say that you have to post 5 times every week, but at least 2 or 3 times a week means you form a habit of creating that content in the first place. When you have done that for maybe 2 to 3 months, you've formed a habit that is set in stone and it's gold, and you can create that. When you want to expand out beyond that, look at what channels are close to the channel that you're most active on. So for me, I do a lot of video, which means that YouTube is a very obvious second channel for me, because a lot of the content I create for LinkedIn can be repurposed for YouTube and vice versa. Think about where your audience are. What do they do? How do they consume content? And a lot of my clients, a lot of my network are B2B. So it does predominantly evolve around LinkedIn and maybe Facebook. But I tend not to get leads from other social media channels. So having tried and tested things, and despite the fact that I can be active on pretty much all channels, I actually find that if I spend the majority of my time focusing on the 2 channels that matter most, which are LinkedIn and YouTube, whilst creating content for the other channels, they're there for more of a bit of reassurance for my clients. They can go on any channel, they can find me there, they can see me talking about the same content I talk about in my main channel. And it backs up that I lead by example. I do what I say I will on the tin. But that doesn't mean that I've sacrificed the quality of creating LinkedIn content or YouTube content. They are my primary focus. Don't go too wide too quickly. Pace yourself. Make sure you figure the platform out and that you've trialed and tested a few different things before you move on. Make sure you have a process that is simple, that you've got mapped out, that you know each week how you get your content generated. My solid advice, as ever, is to start with video at the top of that funnel, because video works across all channels. All social media platforms are currently promoting video like there's no tomorrow, and it is relatively easy to start gaining traction that way if you're brave enough to be in the public eye in that way. And lastly, I would also recommend getting a tool that will help you with that to make it simple and easy to do. My go-to tool for social media scheduling is a tool called SocialBee. I do have an affiliate link, and it will be in this newsletter to click through to. They have a 14-day free trial, and beyond that, the packages are relatively inexpensive as they build up towards professional package. You can manage multiple channels across all your different social media platforms. There's tools there for automating things, like you can bring in your YouTube playlists and get those straight out there as soon as there's an update to one of your playlists. You want to understand the platform. So to summarize, start by getting the basics right. Figure out where your customers are at. There's lots of other automations that you can use. There's AI built into that. Lots of tools to make life very simple and easy for you. That's it for Content Classroom this week. I hope you found it useful, and I will see you next week.